What up friends, I'm James, your host, and today I'm going to be reviewing the newest Black Keys album, Let's Rock. Let's Rock is the newest album released by the blues rock veterans, the Black Keys. It comes after 5 years since their last album, Turn Blue, a very divisive record in their discography, but one that I actually really enjoyed. The newest album sees them returning to their blues rock roots, although a bit more in the El Camino and Brothers sound. While I don't think it's as unique or as captivating as Turn Blue was, this album is pretty fun. It's not this blatant ripoff of their prior work. It does have quite a few unique things going for it, and overall I think it's pretty solid. The album starts off with a bang with Shine a Little Light, probably my favorite song on the album actually. It has this great intro riff that devolves into just some garage rock jammy goodness. The mix of heavy hitting and lighter guitar work really represent the turmoil in the lyrics. The lyrics, in fact, actually seem to come off of Turn Blue, talking about and looking back on the relationship that Turn Blue was about. The drums and guitar just form this perfect dance rock melody during the chorus. It's so anthemic in a weird way. I just love this track. Eagle Birds is one of the main singles. This one is a bit more bluesy this time, and it's reflecting on wanting to feel loved and how he's looking for a sign that his life is going to turn around. This one has a bit of a jam band sort of feel that I really like, especially with the guitar solo and how bouncy it is when complemented by the little tambourine in the background. It's really fun. Low High is another fun song on the album, another one of the singles, and this one is definitely taking influence from the El Camino sound. It almost sounds a bit like Gold on the Ceiling or something on the chorus. I really love the sort of funky groove that this one has, and I also like how they brought back the female backup singers that they had on albums like Brothers. It adds a lot to the album, I feel. While subtle, it does add this sort of dynamic that makes you think that the lyrics can come from different perspectives inside of a relationship or something like that. I think that it was a really good choice to bring those back. Though the main riffs don't change up that much other than during the instrumental break, they're so fun and catchy that it honestly doesn't really matter. It's a good song. Now, the slower songs on the album can be a bit hit or miss for me, but Walk Across the Water is another one of my favorites here. The soulful synth in the background, along with the fairly simplistic but also very captivating riffs, they just add to this very sentimental and endearing vibe that the song has overall. The lyrics about being completely smitten by someone are especially poignant after coming from the last few songs and the entire album before this too. It seems like he's finally found someone who loves him. The imagery during the chorus as well really gives off this peaceful vibe, like you're just kind of sailing away on bliss or something. It's really heartwarming. Now, the second half of the album, while still pretty good, does start to drag a bit. Every Little Thing is one example. It's fairly well constructed and the lyrics are decent enough, but honestly, there's not really much going on that differentiates it from a lot of the other songs on the album. It feels a bit stagnant. The riffs have a funky, bluesy groove, but they do feel a bit derivative, and the lyrics are also stuck in the same concept with not much of a different way of telling them. It's just about love, and it's just explaining love in kind of the same way, which is unfortunate. Get Yourself Together is pretty good though, and it's another song with a bit of an El Camino tinge to it. The main beat is very uplifting, and it drives that prominent bass line forward, which I really like. The guitar also has a bit of this twangy aesthetic, which gives it a bit more of a root rock edge, and I think that's pretty unique. And combined with the various car references about comparing cars to love and relationships and stuff like that, I think this one is a good, fun tune. It also has a bit of a country vibe as well that I think is pretty interesting. Sit Around and Miss You is honestly one of the few songs on this album where I'm not really taken to it at all. It just doesn't really stand out as doing much of anything interesting in my mind. The lyrics are honestly kinda cheesy, and the very light and poppy instrumentals, it just doesn't really do much for me. The chorus is actually pretty good as the instrumental gets a bit more pining, and I really do think that the female background vocals shine a lot here. Unfortunately though, there's not much else going on for this track. Go is also not really one of my favorites. It has a bit of garage rock influence while also a bit of punk influence as well. However, the song largely just stays in one place, and I don't think the main riffs are all that interesting. The chugging of the guitar does add a bit of attitude and shakes things up a bit, but the song largely seems pretty sparse and underdeveloped other than the outro, which I think is pretty good, but other than that, not much here. Breaking Down, however, is another pretty big highlight, I think. This one is fairly reminiscent of Turn Blue's sound, actually, which was nice to see come back, if even for one song. It has this very psychedelic and bass-driven angle, and I really like how honest Patrick and Dan are with the lyrics on this one. The whole atmosphere of this song is a bit sinister, like they're still working out their demons, they're still dealing with their past, and I think it's a pretty cool lyrical angle. The various references to sinking and drowning and how they need a lifeline to pull them out is a pretty nice touch. I like those metaphors a lot. They also don't completely lose their blues rock edge here like they did with Turn Blue, because the chorus and the guitar solo do have that sort of gritty intensity that you can come to expect from a lot of bluesy Black Keys tracks. So I like how they incorporated both Turn Blue's sound and their blues rock sounds together here. Now, though the Black Keys did sacrifice some experimentation by returning to their blues rock sound, it's still very uniquely the Black Keys. The second half slogs a little bit due to the lack of experimentation. Everything kind of flows together a bit more. There's nothing as bombastic as on the first half of the album, really. They are of fairly consistent quality, and even though they're not as unique or interesting, they're still decent blues rock tunes. The album overall is a bit one note, but honestly, the energy that a lot of these songs bring to the table kind of make up for that, and it's just a good, fun listen, if nothing else. I'm feeling a strong 7 on the Black Keys' Let's Rock. Yeah, they rocked. Now, of course, we do have to talk about the album cover, and honestly, knowing the story of the album cover, I think it's pretty cool. They got the idea for this album cover because there was this inmate, and I think it was Tennessee, who it was the first time that someone's been executed by an electric chair in like 10 years in that state, and his last words were "Let's rock." So I think that's pretty rock and roll, to be honest. I would never use that adjective, but in this case I think it kind of fits. I love the black and pink aesthetic. Black and pink, one of my favorite color combinations. And just the image of the electric chair with the electricity around it, I think is a pretty good look, honestly. It's really fitting for a blues rock album. But yeah, that is my opinion. And that's that. Until the next one, farewell.